All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome back. For those of you who sat through that scintillating budget discussion, we're starting up with the next meeting concerning the appointment of a new superintendent of schools. And just as a reminder, many of you, as I look out on the audience, we're here over several sessions. We've had a number of meetings over the last 2 weeks that followed on a number of sessions by our screening committee, and I see a few members of that committee here as well. And it's been about a 3-month-long process that was launched in December with the posting of the position, the appointment of the screening committee, the hiring of a firm to do the search, Hazard Young, which is represented here tonight by Don Macrino, who's been hugely helpful to us. And we've been through the interviews. And there are, before we get to the vote, I do want to thank a number of folks who've helped out along the way. Again, Don Macrino from Hazard Young, who's been skillfully aiding us on a number of fronts. John Carvalho from my office, who's done an enormous amount of legwork to make sure that this is a thorough process and that New Bedford shows itself as it is, as a place that follows through and is committed to detail and professionalism. I want to thank Beatty for all of your help along the way, which has been enormous, and I want to thank all my committee members for really maintaining a very professional process that I think the community can be proud of. This has been a very thorough undertaking that has included not only what I thought were really useful public sessions in which we asked a series of very thoughtful questions, but also a very thorough due diligence that went on over many weeks, in which folks here, as well as the search firm, called references and called others to glean as much information about the candidates as possible. I think it was a really good process overall. And I want to thank all of you. It's great to see the community come out for this process, and it is really important. I'll just say this before we begin the proceedings. This has been a school district that has, over a number of years, been dealing with state scrutiny, right? Somebody else looking over our shoulder and saying, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. In the long run, that's not sustainable. It is going to be up to us collectively as a community, with whoever the next superintendent is and the committee members, to fly the plane on our own. And we've made substantial progress. We're at a point now where I believe we can take the district to the proverbial next level. We're going to need everybody on board, and so it's really encouraging to see all of you come out and be part of the process, because it is very important. So with all that, we are here tonight to appoint by vote of the school committee, by majority vote of the members of the school committee here, and there is every member of the committee is here, so it's a majority of 4 votes to determine who the next superintendent will be. This is the way it'll go. So we will go down the line as we have over the course of the proceedings in the last couple of weeks. Each school committee member in that order, ending with the chair, will have an opportunity to say for whom they're voting. And if there is a majority for any particular candidate, that'll close it out. If there isn't a majority, then we'll go to a second round of voting and drop off the lowest voting, the candidate with the lowest votes, until we'll proceed that way until we have a majority. So with all that, and I'll just say this, I would ask that our committee members may have an opportunity to say why they're voting for the person. I would just suggest that it be more about that person than comparisons with other candidates. We had a good field of candidates, a great field of finalists. All of them are very accomplished professionals who deserve our respect, especially for jumping into the proverbial arena, which is what they did. And so they all deserve our respect, and they took it as seriously as we did. We appreciate that. So we'll go ahead, and again, we'll ask each committee member to say for whom they're voting. Beatty, if you could just keep track of it all, and we'll begin with John Olivero. So, John.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to preface this with saying that no matter who is appointed as our superintendent, it is imperative that we give that superintendent the full opportunity and our full cooperation to help them get settled in. And it's also incumbent upon this committee to hold this next superintendent accountable and not give the keys away to the kingdom like has been done. So with that, after looking at all the candidates, very quickly, I had two candidates that came to the top. I would like to see Dr. Heather Larkin as our next superintendent. She is the only one that presented to me a full commitment to this community. I found her very forthright. The fact that she's local and we know her certainly helps. Everyone has baggage, all four of the candidates. I'm willing to work with somebody I know who know their baggage, and once again, it falls to accountability. She was ready with a plan and ready to hit the ground running. So I would put my support with Dr. Larkin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chris Carter.
Okay, again, I want to thank all the candidates for, as stated, putting their name in the hat and putting basically their lives out there for us to review very closely. I'd also like to thank all those individuals who have reached out to me over the last several days to provide their reasoning why they felt a particular candidate rose above their decision and why they felt that each individual's qualifications made them stand out for them. I want everybody to know, based on information that I've heard, is that this decision is not an easy one. The decision that I'm coming to is not based on any gender, any race, ethnicity. This is based on true qualifications and experience alone that I felt was the best fit for New Bedford to heal. I really believe that we as a district need to heal. We need to get the schools back to where they were, and I need to let the principals and teachers get back in the classrooms and do what they do best, and that's teach our children of New Bedford. I honestly felt that the experience needs to carry really high marks in this grade for me. The urban discussion has come out in this city on numerous occasions, and that is a strong factor in what we need as a superintendent as well. I feel that my decision, my top choice is Mr. Thomas Anderson, and part of the reason for that is I strongly believe that he has the experience and he has built his own personal resume going through the ranks of teacher, up to principal, to instructional superintendent, all the way up to superintendent of schools. So again, my choice, my top choice is Mr. Thomas Anderson.
Okay, thank you very much. Jack Livermeno.
I too have struggled very heartily with two candidates who I thought would fit this particular position. And again, I want to thank all of the persons who gave me some input, gave me some sense of feeling of the candidate that they supported and the person that they thought would best move our district forward. What was most important to me was that the candidate who I felt should fit this position should continue the growth that we've had in the last number of years, should continue walking down the path that we've supported teachers and allowed teachers to become all they can be. And with that, I was able to really struggle back and forth here and there over the last few days, and really summed up the characteristics that I thought were best needed. Among them were similar to Mr. Carter, where this person has had experience. This person has been in this position for a number of years. Person has gone through the process of really working in an urban environment, some larger than ours, some smaller than ours, and has really been able to grow in that area. So with that, the candidate that I'm looking for is Mr. Thomas Anderson.
Okay, Bruce Olivera.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'd like to also thank the candidates and everyone that's reached out to me and talked to me about what their opinions were on the different candidates. I too also, that's great language. I also thought experience played a large part in this, and without any further ado, I'll support Thomas Anderson.
Okay, Josh Amaral.
All right. I do have to agree that I think we had a good field of candidates, and I've paid a lot of attention to searches going on in other districts, mostly to make sure that we're not competing for some of the same people, but in doing that, I think I've realized that we have a really good field of candidates, really superior, and I think part of that's a credit to the work that's been done over the last 5 years to bring New Bedford to a place where people want to work here, they want to be the superintendent in New Bedford, and they want to lead this next phase of the work, which I think is really promising. After going through all these candidates, I had the benefit of seeing them at the screening committee level and then also at the full school committee level, spending some time with them in the district, learning about them. Afterwards, I went back and looked at all my notes. I reviewed the leadership report that HYA put together. I also looked at some of the notes that I had when I initially talked to the search firm about what I was looking for in a candidate, and it was things like someone that sincerely believes in bringing the community in, has a positive reputation with their staff, teachers on up, someone that's firm but fair, holds people accountable but also realizes the difficulties of the work, someone that's willing to examine and challenge their own philosophies over time, someone that has the experience that lends confidence to the fact that they could handle being the superintendent in New Bedford, which is a very difficult job. Ultimately, I think the candidate that best fits that description for me, I think is a really exciting candidate, and that's Mr. Thomas Anderson. So my support is for him, and I think it's a really encouraging and exciting time for New Bedford. Thank you.
All right, very good. Colleen DeWicki.
So obviously, many of you are keeping track. So there are 4 votes, and I think my job here is to ice the cake. My vote is also for Thomas Anderson, and I just want to thank so many of you for reaching out. I think this process really just excited me about the democracy of it all, and the fact that many of you came out night after night to join us for this. But you also remembered that our phones are actually telephones, and you called mine quite a bit to share your input. You sent me emails, and I'm sure you did that with my colleagues. So thank you so much for engaging in the process. One thing that I'll say, just to add something new that you haven't heard, is it was an easy choice for me because I had the chance to go along with Chris to visit Mr. Anderson's district. So we spent half a day in Randolph. We met with the central office staff, we met with principals, with teachers, with union leadership, and we heard a very consistent message that he is the candidate you saw interviewing before us. So what you said was really backed up by a wide cross-section of people that made me feel really strongly that we have a great opportunity for him to lead us in what's next for New Bedford Public Schools.
All right, thank you, Colleen. So I won't build up the drama because it's kind of useless at this point. So I'll just say Thomas Anderson has my full support as well. It is I didn't think it was an easy choice. I thought we had some really good candidates. And I spent time individually with each one of them, and he seemed to me to be the right fit. We need somebody who has the core leadership skills that anybody in charge of a major enterprise has to have. And this, you've heard me say it before, the school district is a big enterprise. It's bigger than a lemonade stand. You heard the talk about the budget. It's almost $140 million and over 2,000 employees, and you have to have somebody who has the core credibility to lead it along and as well as the technical skill to direct it and to establish a vision that everybody can buy into. He has a really terrific professional track record. He earned his stripes as a teacher. He's worked in urban districts and suburban districts. He's run a charter school. He's done a number of things. He's a father. He's had a breadth of experience that I think really enriches his leadership skill set. And he was someone that at a personal level I thought I could connect with and that who would be fully devoted to the betterment of the district. I also think that he is somebody that both administrators and teachers will want to work for, which I think is really key at this point in the school district's redevelopment. We want people, there have been a number of people who left the district, teachers, as we all know, and principals who really didn't feel like leaving. We want them back. We're in the talent game here. The more talented folks that we can attract and retain to the district to teach our kids, the better off we'll all be. And I think he's somebody who can accomplish that, who can further those efforts. So I think it'll be great. And so Thomas Anderson, for those of you scoring at home, you know this, received 6 votes from the committee. Heather Larkin had 1. So Thomas Anderson has been elected, and they'll have to be subject, of course, as things always are, to a negotiation of a contract that is subject to the school committee's approval ultimately.
That being said, Mr. Chairman, I think it'd be in order to give the chair authorization to enter into negotiations with Mr. Anderson.
Second.
Okay, can we take the roll on that, Beatty?
I have
Further discussion?
Could I
Yeah,
have a
go ahead.
question on that, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, yeah.
How was that work? You entered negotiations personally, or how was that reviewed by the
Yeah.
school committee?
So ultimately, it's the school committee's contract to approve or disapprove. And so, but for logistical ease, it makes sense to appoint one person, and ordinarily that's the chair. All right, does that, your motion, is that?
Exactly.
Okay.
It comes
All right,
back.
thank you.
Yeah, but the school committee will be, it'll be subject to the school committee's approval, of course. All right, so we could take the roll, Beatty.
Mr. John Olivera?
Aye.
Mr. Christopher Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Jack Livramento?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Olivera?
Yes.
Mr. Josh Amaral?
Yes.
Ms. Colleen Wiki?
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes, so I'll say, on behalf of the committee, congratulations to Thomas Anderson. We look forward to the work ahead with him. And again, it's going to be important for everybody to pitch in different ways. I see lots of teachers and administrators here, lots of parents. For those of you who've been here, I know that I'm preaching to the choir. You're all here. It's left up to all of us to go out and evangelize that. We need to work together as a team to build on the improvements in the last few years, because I know that great things are in store for the kids of our district, and they deserve our very best efforts. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we take the roll on that?
Mr. John Olivera?
Aye.
Mr. Christopher Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Jack Livramento?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Olivera?
Yes.
Mr. Josh Amaral?
Yes.
Colleen Wiki?
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.